I'm going to call to order the September 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Chino Valley Planning and Zoning Commission. Commissioner Metters, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to item C, which is the consent calendar, which consists of approval of the June 3rd regular meeting minutes and approval of the August 5th study session minutes. And we will be approving a corrected minutes that we received when we walked in the door. Do we have anybody have any issues with that?
No.
I make a motion to accept the corrected June minutes.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
So we have two sets of minutes.
We
Only one of them was corrected. So what I thought I heard. So what I thought I heard was approval for the corrected minutes. There's also a set in here that you need to approve. So there's two sets of minutes.
okay. So I thought we did them both, but can we amend our motion?
No,
Or
you
what do we
just
do?
approve the other set of minutes.
Okay.
I correct my motion to say
Can't correct it,
accept
it's
the
already
minutes
made.
for the corrected June meeting minutes and the August study session minutes.
Perfect.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried. So we're going to go to item D1 TA 2025-05, which is a request to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, to address renewable energy within the town limits. Has anybody on this commission spoke to anybody about this subject besides in this meeting or other meetings?
No. I've discussed it with staff.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, at this point, the commissioners that are present at the meeting tonight all received letters from the following entities. One is Arizona Technology Council, and the other one is Arizona Solar Energy Industries Association. Let the minutes show that we received those papers. Okay, Will.
All righty. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of Commission. Will Dingy, your Assistant Director for Development Services here at the town. As read, tonight before you is Text Amendment TA 2025-05, and this is a proposed text amendment to address renewable energy, utility scale solar and wind here within Chino Valley town limits. So I'm not going to give the whole shebang on the history of this because I know we are very well versed in this topic at this point in time, but I will just kind of give you a brief synopsis. So following March of this year, when Town Council voted to deny the proposed text amendment for utility scale solar at that time, they provided direction to Chino Valley staff to draft a new ordinance for prohibition of utility scale solar, wind, CSP, and BESS, battery energy storage systems. That resulted in the crafting of the statement of direction by the attorney, which was vetted through Town Council at a study session this summer. That statement of direction then went before the Planning Commission last month in a study session as well to run through what that process was, all the supporting questions that we came up with. And then as part of that guiding document and those questions resulted in the language before you tonight. So when you look at this language, it looks pretty short, and that is intentional because this is still a very powerful document in accomplishing what it sets forth to do. This was primarily crafted by Town of Chino Valley attorney, and then staff worked with them. So this has gone through them. They support this. They find this as accomplishing what that statement of direction was set forth to do. So we'll just kind of get into it here. It contains 4 sections. Section 1 of the proposed language is to amend UDO Section 2.2, which is the definitions. The proposal is to add a definition for concentrated solar power, which is CSP, a power generating system that uses focused light to generate heat, which is then converted into electricity through a mechanical or thermochemical process. Utility scale solar facility, any solar facility or solar array where the principal purpose and operational intent is the generation of electricity primarily for sale or distribution to off-site customers or the utility grid, rather than for on-site use by the property owner or occupant. This term does not include town projects or residential applications where an individual property's excess electrical power is sold back to the local electric utility provider. And then the third new definition is utility scale wind farm, any wind energy facility or wind turbine installation where the principal purpose and operational intent is the generation of electricity primarily for sale and distribution to off-site consumers or the utility grid, rather than for on-site use by the property owner or occupant. This term does not include town projects. Section 2 of the proposed language is still within Section 2.2, the definitions or meanings of words and terms. And these we're either modifying an existing definition, like the first one here, the battery energy storage system, BESS. So we had that definition along with decommissioning plan, solar facility use permit, and solar project area. The decommissioning plan, solar facility use permit, and solar project area were intended to support the original March text language. Since that is no longer going forward, we no longer have a need for those definitions in the code, but we do still have a need for the definition of battery energy storage system, which is defined as an electrochemical device or multiple electrochemical devices assembled together that store energy to supply electrical energy at a future time. This does not include standalone 12-volt collar batteries, electric motor vehicles, or batteries used for consumer products.
Hey, Will, can I interrupt you for a
Absolutely.
second? There may be some people from the public that are going to speak tonight. There are some forms outside that we need to get filled out and hand over to that lady right there in order for you to speak. So if you have a desire to speak, please get your forms filled out. Thank you, Will.
Moving on to Section 3, and this is where, while our code already had this language in there, this is a strengthening of our current code to make it abundantly clear to when staff gets the ultimate question, well, where does it say I can't do that in the code? So under Section 3 of the text language, it amends UDO Section 4, General Regs 4.2, Permitted Uses. So under 4.2, the proposal is to read as follows. Those uses listed as permitted uses shall be allowed to establish within any zoning district in which they are listed, subject to the specific requirements of this ordinance. There may be uses defined in this ordinance that are not listed within any zoning district. Any uses not specifically listed as a permitted use within a zoning district is not allowed. So our code already operates like that, but this is a definitive place where staff can point in the code, council can point in the code, commission can point in the code, and it says, well, where does it say I can't do that? Right here in Section 4.2. And so because we're adding those new definitions, and those new definitions are not listed within any zoning district, 4.21 applies. Number 2, there's just some housekeeping there where we're getting rid of zone to zoning. That's just an attorney thing. Section 4, this is going to be a new section within the Unified Development Ordinance. It's the creation of Section 4.33. And this is the governance of renewable energy, utility scale, solar, and wind in the sense of what can be done here in Chino Valley. And so I'll read these verbatim, so please bear with me. On A, roof-mounted solar panels are allowed on homes and parking structures, provided that making space for solar panels is not the primary purpose of the structure, and provided further that on commercial properties, solar panels mounted on top of parking structures are limited to only the space over the minimum required parking stalls for the business, Installing additional parking stalls primarily to accommodate solar panels is not allowed. So that's if, God forbid, we ever got a data center here, they only support, 40 employees, and they want to have a parking lot for 1,000 people because they want a whole bunch of solar panels. Not going to be allowed here within Chino Valley. B, ground-mounted solar panels and arrays are allowed on individual residential properties if the power generated is used exclusively on site and the installation does not otherwise meet the definition of utility scale solar facility. So you'll see as I continue through these letters that a common phrase is used, and that is power generated is used exclusively for on-site. So that is restricting any power generated for the use of either that home or that business or whatever use on site only. It's not going to go to your neighbor right next door. It's not going to go to Surprise. It's not going to go to California. It is going to stay on this parcel, period. That's all that the town of Chino Valley allows. Letter C, ground-mounted wind turbines are allowed on individual residential properties if the power generated is used exclusively on site, that phrase again, and the installation does not otherwise meet the definition of a utility scale wind farm. There can be up to 1 turbine per acre with a maximum of 3 turbines per property. No wind turbine may exceed 35 feet in height without a conditional use permit granted in accordance with section 1.9.3, which is where we outline our conditional use permit process, which the council may grant in its sole and absolute discretion. And finally, letter D, battery energy storage systems are allowed in homes and businesses so long as the stored energy is used exclusively on site. So this one does not have, well, it does have that exclusively on site. There's no cap on the quantity of batteries. So it's just to make sure that the property owner has what they need for, in a power outage or something like that to make sure that their home is sustained for use primarily on site. So with that, staff's recommendation is that the Planning and Zoning Commission, 1, hold a public hearing, and then 2, forward a recommendation of approval to Town Council for TA 2025-05. I'll go ahead and open up for questions from the commission.
Go ahead.
I have one question. And this is back on 4.33. Hold on, I missed. My eyes just 4.2. 1, where you delete all other uses shall be prohibited. Why did you leave except as otherwise provided in this ordinance? I think it would be cleaner if you just stopped where it said not allowed.
So one of the things is that we do have uses like medical marijuana. So like while we do have that listed outright as an allowable use in industrial with the conditional use, there is a separate section within I think it's 4.31, forgive me if I'm wrong on that, that lays out other additional criteria requirements for that use. So, except as otherwise provided in that ordinance. That was my understanding, is because we have other places for that in the general regs, that if we leave that in there, it allows for the continuation of code as present. But attorney stuff.
So it's just, I'm trying to spit this back to you. So it says this stuff is not allowed except as otherwise provided in this ordinance. So if it's not in the ordinance, it's not allowed, period.
Correct.
Even if there's some extenuating thing in the ordinance that's not in this particular paragraph, it's not in the ordinance, so it's not allowed. It's kind of like double doing it's what I hear. Am I
think that's
close
fair.
right there?
Right. So we get people at the counter asking us if they can do certain things. And the way the code is written, it doesn't list all the prohibited uses because every day you can come up with a new use that isn't listed in the code. So we list what is allowed. So when they challenge us, we finally have a place to point to that says, this is what it says. If it's not listed, it's not allowed.
And then you back that up, except otherwise provided in this ordinance, which just is circling back around to the same statement. Is that correct?
Believe so, yes, sir.
So that would apply to the conditional use descriptions.
Correct.
Everybody all right with that?
Yes.
Right, legalese.
Anybody else have a question for staff?
I have one more. And I think Will and I talked about it
Mhm.
briefly. On section 4.33, they're talking about roof-mounted solar panels, ground-mounted solar panels, ground-mounted wind turbines. What about roof-mounted?
So as written here, we do not say anything about roof-mounted turbines.
Which that did come up in discussion, so that's a good point.
Okay.
Maybe we could add some wordage that includes ground-mounted or structure-mounted, doesn't have to be on a roof,
Sure.
wind turbine.
Absolutely. And then keeping with that 35-foot height,
Yeah.
leave
Yes,
that in
the
there.
limitation doesn't
Okay.
change.
Understood.
The 35, again, with our discussion, the
Yes.
35 feet is not very efficient.
Correct. A lot of the studies show that 65 is typically where that threshold of efficiency for a wind turbine is.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you
we
don't-
have that ability with a conditional use permit to get that.
So two things. When you make your motion, add that language, and we'll make sure that that gets forwarded to council. And the other is, I think that we think about wind power with those huge propellers, and there are other techniques
Correct.
that could be energy efficient. We're just not looking at them right now. But other countries have very small, like movable parts that generate a lot more energy, and they don't take up the space.
Yeah, they're not powering the whole home; they're powering
No.
a portion. So I mean, subsidized essentially.
Well, this probably would cover pretty much most of that, because it's
Exa-
ground-mounted or structure-mounted.
With the amendment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right. We may holler at you again, Will.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to open up the public portion of this meeting, and seeing as how nobody filled out any cards that I saw, I'm going to close the public portion of the meeting. All right. Do we have any more questions for town staff? All right. So we're closing the public hearing portion of this item, and I would entertain a motion, please.
Let me get the wording for it. Okay, I'm trying to get the ordinance number.
Trying to beat you there.
Get it. Okay, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward TA 2025-05 with one change being in section 4.33C, where it says ground-mounted or structure-mounted wind turbines are allowed on individual residents, and then the balance stays the same. I recommend with that change, we forward it with approval to the town council for consideration.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. This is going to be a roll call vote. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Commissioner Welker,
Yes.
Commissioner Pizzi,
Yes.
Alternate Member Morabito,
Yes.
Commissioner Zamudio,
Yes.
Commissioner Metters,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pasiak,
Yes.
Chair Merritt.
Yes. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, town staff, for a lot of hard work on a tough issue. And thank you to the commission for their patience, and thank you for the public for their participation in many, many meetings over this. All right, we're going to move forward to item E, action items, which the agenda says we do not have any. So we're going to go forward to information items, which is item F, F1 for the staff.
Alrighty. Good evening again, Commission. We did have 2 items go to council on the June 24th council meeting. The first one was this conditional use permit for the Wilkinson Solar Farm that was denied by council. And on that same night, we did have text amendment 2025-03, which is the text amendment to bring back AR 36, and that did pass town council. So we do have that on the books now to date.
All right, good job.
Absolutely.
All right, anything else, Will? All right, so we're going to go to item F2, which is the commission. Does anybody on the commission have anything they would like to speak about? All right. Item F3 is the chairman. Again, just a brief word that at some point in the future, there will be some discussion and work on a livestock ordinance for the town. That hasn't gone away. It isn't going to go away. We will be addressing it in the near future. So just to bring that up again. And again, thank you to town staff for a long and hard slog with this ordinance. Okay, so I'm going to open up item F4 to the public. I'll even allow somebody to come up and speak without a form because you can't talk about anything that's on the agenda. Would anybody like to participate? Thank you. Then we go to item G, which is a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.